Welcome back. Welcome back. As you start preparing for your introduction speeches, right? It's going to be about 2.5 to 3 minutes. I really want you to think about what's the voila moment, the moment where the speaker's like, "Oh, that's cool," and think of it like a movie. When it finishes, sometimes it shows the credits, and then they have like a final scene that just pops out of nowhere. You know. So here's a really cool feature about this, and maybe you knew it already, but it was one of the features why I bought this. Wow, this here actually flips to the other side. So congratulations. Now I have a brand new side to work with. And I just want you to know, metaphorically, every moment when you speak is a blank canvas. I can create any word that I want to say at this moment. The words I just said now are gone, but now it's a brand new canvas again, right? And that continuity is what makes you a good speaker. So I'm going to set the time again for 10 minutes right here. This is going to be within a 15-minute video or such. Okay, so we talked about keywords, bullet points, and symbols only with the 4 types of speeches. You have the manuscript speech, the memorized manuscript speech, and don't you worry about that. We are actually going to make a fun activity for you to show you why you should not do the manuscript speech and memorize it, okay? A lot of you at first did mention that you did type it up and memorize, which is fine. It's only 15 seconds. It's only 30 seconds. You didn't know how many of these we're going to do, but now you're going to know you got to do this twice a week and sometimes a minute. And you're realizing, man, I got to think of a better way to do this now because I do not want to spend this much typing time. Just remember, you're going to be a manager one day. You're going to have to speak every day, 30 minutes. You don't have time to type stuff up, okay? So it's about living in the moment with that. Okay, so that covers here the 4 types of speeches. That's one of the content material that I've been giving you. The next part that I want to talk about has to do with the channels. Remember I mentioned all the different channels that we can talk through, right? You can draw, you can write, you can take pictures, you can make videos, right? Those are all channels. But think about all the channels that have now disintegrated, decayed. They're just dead in the water. This is before your time, right? But there used to be like DVDs, and now there's no DVDs. If you don't know what DVD is, please look it up. There used to be CDs before that, video cassettes. There used to be a VCR machine. There used to be telephones that you had to actually plug in, and you actually had to dial. All this stuff is gone now. And now you have all these new ways of communication, right? Those are all channels. So I want you to think about it, right? It's really, really interesting because, let's say the VCR, for example, right? The VCR, just like a big recording. Let's just say, I don't know, it was made in the 70s, 1970s. And let's say the DVD was created in the year 2000. And now it's 2020, right? And then you had your phone that you plugged in. Let's just say that was in the 1960s. Wow, guess what? In all these years, you don't have a phone anymore where you actually have to dial and plug in. Just want to make sure I make that clear. You don't have a VCR anymore. You don't even have a DVD. And all that died during those time periods. But you know what came before that? First came the Word. I mean, that came like way, 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 way before year 1. But yet it still exists today. So even though you have multiple channels that you can communicate with today, your Snapchat, your TikTok, that might not exist anymore, your WeChat, that won't exist anymore, or really soon, as of 2020 September, but it's still the word, right? The spoken word. It's the most greatest invention ever, right? Speech is an invention. It's a gift. So don't take it for granted. Okay. So getting back to the channels here, there are 7 elements of communication. I love this board because it's quite large and I could write on it with all the scribble as well. There requires 7 elements, right, in this module, in this paradigm for communication to happen. So question is, what is communication? Stop your video right now and just write down your 2-sentence definition of communication. Okay. I'm not going to just stop so that I can keep the video rolling. communication requires 7 elements to happen. So let's see how it might work out in regards to the definition that you had. Okay, so right now, and you got to remember, all these 7 elements, it could be said in any different order. So actually, I am going to say it in 2 different orders so that you know that I'm not memorizing one specific way. And this is going to be really helpful because when you are giving your speeches about your partners, I want to make sure that you actually prepare not one way of doing it. I don't want you to always say, this is my introduction, these are the 3 main points in this order, and this is how I'm going to end my speech. Because then we get it more memorized, and we want you to get really fluid, like water. I always say this, so get used to it. You want to practice the skill of speaking, not the speech. You practice the skill, not the speech, because your ultimate goal is not to be good at making one speech one way. Your ultimate goal is to be good at speaking to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So I'll just give you a quick example. I used to play the guitar. Some people thought I was really, really good at the guitar. But the truth is, I was only really, really good at playing a couple songs a specific way. If they asked me to improvise the guitar, like jam in the moment, I couldn't do it. I was only good at the memorized parts of it, right? So you want to be a master of guitar, you got to be able to play any scale, any rhythm, any beat on the dot, right? And that's what jazz is, right? That's what true improvisation is. And we want you to create that ability with your speech. So 7 elements of communication. Here we go. First and foremost, this is me with the hat. You need a speaker, right? Someone has to say something. And ideally, the person who says something, has something really important to say. Like, I have something really important to say. I want to teach you more about communication and public speaking so you can be better. So I have something that I'm saying. So here, I'm the speaker, right? And I have a message for you. Now, this message is both verbal and nonverbal, right? I'm speaking to you, but I'm also making some hand gestures. I'm pointing, I'm redirecting you, and that's all part of the message that I'm giving you. Now, you all are the listeners. Okay. To my message. And you give me feedback, right? You make your own videos back to me so that I can then give you more messages. But sometimes you are the speaker first because you initiate the conversation with me. You email me, and then I have to then give you feedback, and I'm the listener. So it's always a give and take. Like, imagine you're just throwing a football back and forth, or to make it even cooler, you're at a beach party, you're just hitting the volleyball over the net, right? That's a lot of fun. But what happens though, right, is, this is called interference. We had a lot of interference, okay? And you know why? Because this way that we were trying to communicate is and now this is getting really messy, right? But again, if you watched the video, you knew how this all came about. The channel. We were trying to communicate, we're talking, not face-to-face in person, but we're talking virtually. We're talking through Canvas is the channel, and it's problematic, right? What were some of the interferences that came with talking through the channel of Canvas? Well, we had data overload, forbidden 403, limit is exceeded. That's a problem in this specific channel, right? We have Wi-Fi interferences. We have lag sometimes. We just can't connect to the Wi-Fi. Those are all interferences that are unique to the specific channel into which we are trying to communicate. Now, if this was if this was in person, who cares about Canvas, right? I could just talk to you right away. Another interference that could happen is my camera goes off suddenly. There's a blackout because of electricity. So depending on the channel you choose, you have specific interferences that you have to deal with externally. Right? If I want to meet you in person, I don't have to worry about all that technological stuff to communicate with you. But I would have other problems, maybe the room has too much of a radiator sound, and then I would have to talk louder, get over that. That would be a new interference. But also interference also comes internally from both me and you. You all might be really tired. You all might be really hungry. You all might need to use the restroom. oh God, you all might not just be interested in the subject. You have no motivation. You just want to get this class over with. I have to find a way as a speaker to power my message through to all of you so that it can make it work. But, you know, the main interference really comes in your own head. Oh God, I might not be good enough. What if I'm boring? What if I look nasty? What if people don't like me? What if people laugh at me? That's the interference that you must overcome in the battle to becoming a public speaker, right? To be confident in the person that you want to be. And if you have all of these elements, again, speakers one, okay, listeners two, you have a message, okay, there is feedback that you're giving, both verbal and nonverbal. There is a channel that you have to choose to communicate, but each channel has its own unique interferences. If you have all that, okay, then congratulations, number 7, okay, you have a situation. And the situation, if you're into the Jersey Shore, you know the guy, you know, situation, but the situation, and I'm hitting 10 minutes now, so I realize that it's coming up to my time. The situation is why we are talking in the first place. So what's the situation here? Well, I'm trying to give you a lesson. Simple as that. We've been making videos. They've been fun. They've not been as fun as you would have liked, but it'll be more fun as you get better. But the situation, I got to teach you class content, right? And that's why I'm making this video. That's the situation that we're going. So it's really important to know the situation, because sometimes two people to get together and you don't know what the situation is for. You might think your boss is trying to promote you. That's the situation. Yeah, he's calling me to my office to promote me. He's going to fire you. You might be meeting with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you're thinking, hey, we're going to talk about, you know, our 1-year anniversary coming in the next 2 months. What we're going to do? It's your last date, period. So you got to be in sync with what the situation is going to be about. Okay, so these are the 7 elements of communication, and I just wanted to prove to you that you don't have to say it in a memorized way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just going to change it up. Okay, so real quick. Well, when you want to communicate someone, you got to think like, how do I want to reach them? You had that problem before? Like, do I text them? Do I call them? Do I write them a letter? You know, what do I do? So you got to pick the channel, right? Let's just say, for example, you want to tell your mom or dad or your aunt or uncle that you love them. Okay, so what do you do? You call them? Do you text them? And even if you want to text them, do you text them on WhatsApp or do you text them on a messenger or what? There's a lot of choices now that you have as channel. Back in the day, the only channel that people had was face-to-face speaking. So now you have a whole bunch of channels, and you have to be good at each one as a communicator these days, which makes it really, really hard. I mean, if you're a really good, Instagrammer, you get a lot of followers, make a lot of money. You know, your friends would think you're so cool. But if you make like lame snaps all the day, I mean, you're lame. You got to have a game, or it's a shame that you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. So channel is how I'm starting to talk now, but each channel has its own interferences. Sometimes it's just not the best channel to, send a picture or to make a video or to just say something serious. It's problematic, right? But you got to make sure that you understand the situation of why you're making that point across. Again, you're the speaker. So what's your message? What are you going to say to them? Some messages, depending on the channel, you have more verbal or you have more nonverbal. You have the listener. You got to determine who that is, right? Is it going to be a direct message that it's one person? If it's going to be like a story, then you have a lot of people. You got to keep that in mind. So what have we talked about so far? I mentioned that you have the channel, right? You're the speaker, okay? Each channel has interference. You have to think about who your listeners are, right? And you give feedback, right? People give you likes, affects people's self-esteem. Hopefully it doesn't do yours. Sometimes you get 1,000, sometimes you get 10. Who knows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You gotta know the situation as to why you are communicating. And look, I'm struggling right now. I'm looking at my notes and I don't remember exactly what it is. Okay, message, right? What do you want to say? Okay, everyone, so that is my 15-minute tutorial for this one. Remember, this one's about the 7 elements of communication. Make sure you know that because we did mention about channels. Now you know about channels, and congratulations. Okay.